Former United States President Donald Trump has announced his intention to turn himself in to authorities in Georgia on Thursday. Now, this move comes as he faces charges related to allegations of unlawfully plotting to overturn the results of the 2020 election that he lost. Taking to his social media platform on Monday evening, Trump expressed, and I quote here, "Can you believe it? I'll be heading to Atlanta, Georgia on Thursday for my arrest." And this arrest he wrote in all caps. This message followed the disclosure that his bail had been established at $200,000 US. That is roughly 1 crore 60 lakh Indian rupees. A court document released online detailed the bond amounts associated with the 13 charges leveled against the former president. These amounts ranged from $10,000 US for offenses such as criminal conspiracy and filing false documents to $80,000 for a breach of the Georgia RICO Act, statute frequently used against organized crime. Sri, obviously, we have this whole scenario unfolding right into your backyard. How far, first of all, I would like to know, Atlanta is from Washington, where you are, and secondly, on Thursday, when this happens, obviously it would be early Friday morning in India. By that time, what all could have transpired? I mean, what is the procedure? How it is like, when Trump says that he's going to be arrested or he's going to surrender? What are we expecting to see?
Right. So, Pankaj, just this morning, the first accused, the first indicted in this case from Georgia, a gentleman called Scott Hall, who's a former bail bondsman and a former wrestler, he surrendered himself to the authorities in the Fulton County Jail. So now, when he would have gone in, this is what would have happened. Mr. Hall would have been photographed, fingerprinted, medically checked, and then processed, as the county authorities call it. And at the moment, Mr. Hall is described on the website, on the jail's website, as an active inmate, which means he's incarcerated in the jail. Now, don't expect any of this to happen to Mr. Trump. One, he's a former president. And second, his legal team would have already agreed and with the jail authorities and with the district attorney's office on what is the procedure that they will be following. So there would be some sort of agreement that will happen. In fact, Mr. Trump's legal team may have even offered to send his photograph to the jail authorities so that he doesn't have to be photographed, so save him trouble. Because don't forget, this Fulton County Jail is also considered to be one of the worst in terms of its facilities. There is a federal investigation going on right now for the jail conditions in this place. So when Mr. Trump goes in, it'll probably be a short affair, about half an hour to 45 minutes, which is what happened when he went to the court in Washington, D.C. for the other indictment, the federal indictment. So I don't expect Mr. Trump to spend a very long time in the Fulton County Jail, although the sheriff there has said that he will follow the process, the due process, unless told otherwise. So the due process, of course, making the person arrested, going through the process of getting photographed, fingerprinted, medically checked, etc., which usually entails several hours. But in Mr. Trump's case, I think this is going to be fast-tracked, Pankaj, so that he can be out in about, let's say, half an hour to 45 minutes. I don't think he will have to go through the ignominy that most usual people go through, and certainly not incarceration, because he's already, posted bond. So I think he should be out to walk out in half an hour's time.
Right. So, Sri, thank you so much, first of all, for, telling us this step by step, because sitting here in India, when we hear about a former president going to jail or announcing that he would be, all those sorts of visualizations would come, that is, here's a big man going down, maybe, and we are also looking at the elections. Now, given the scenario here, obviously the trial would begin much later, but in case, if I'm not jumping the gun here, if Trump is convicted, will it be difficult for him to receive a pardon at least anytime soon, given the elections also around the corner?
So this is a Georgia case. There are multiple cases. As we know, there are 4 different indictments against Mr. Trump. So the Fulton County is brought by the local state. So now the local state does not have any provision for a pardon, Pankaj, while there
Okay.
is provision for a federal pardon. But again, the question is, if Mr. Trump becomes the president, can he pardon himself? Now, that's a sticky legal question, and legal opinion is divided on it. But it is veering around to the point that maybe not, because you cannot be the accused and the partner yourself. So there's a conflict of interest. The pardon
Right.
is applicable when you're not, the accused person, or you're not the criminal. So, and in the case of Georgia, again, even the pardon which has to be given by, let's say, the governor, can only be given after 5 years of the prison term has been served. So it is not going to be that easy. The federal sentencing, if it happens, will be totally different. And this is going to be very, very interesting going forward. One, whether Mr. Trump becomes the president. And if he does become the president, will he be convicted and sentenced? And if that happens, how is it going to be played out? So a lot of questions in the air, Pankaj. No one really knows what's going to happen,
Right.
because these are truly unprecedented times in the United States.
Absolutely.
Never had a former president being indicted in this fashion, and certainly the questions, in some sense, America's democracy and the legal system is getting tested to its fullest with this case.
Well, absolutely, yes, Shri, you are right. And also, the stakes are high, the emotions are also high. What we saw, at the Capitol Hill, the supporters, and what we have seen earlier also, not, very recently though, how Trump supporters gather normally, be it to make a statement in front of the media, that yes, the support is very much there. You are in Washington, D.C. What are you picking up if I talk to you about, the general daily life affairs, the chit-chats that happen in the offices, the friends you meet? What is the general perception about Trump and these cases per se?
Right. So, like with many politicians, Pankaj, there are people who love Trump and there are people who hate Trump, right? So,
Right.
the polarization that we've seen in the United States over this gentleman, over a Republican president, Donald Trump, is also unprecedented. It's never happened before in this fashion. So, there is a clear polarization of voters, of opinion, which has happened in the US. And this, to some sense, has been amplified by the presence of social media and the ability of people to basically shoot and scoot on social media, where they can pretty much say anything, and without impunity, with impunity they can say, and no consequences. So this has divided, this has created rift. But ultimately, I believe the democratic system in the country is strong enough to overcome all these issues. And we will see a very interesting presidential election next year,
Absolutely.
as Joe Biden and possibly President Trump square off. For former President Trump, it'll be the last time, and also for Donald Trump, it'll be, if he wins, it'll be his last term. So it'll be
Right.
interesting to see what happens next year, Pankaj.
All right, Shri, before I let you go, obviously, if I had to describe Donald Trump from the distance that I see him, I would call him flamboyant. Many of my colleagues call him maverick, but I don't buy that. I would stick to flamboyant. But if I ask you, how do you see Donald Trump, the personality, the person, still fighting it out, how do you look at him?
So that truly is the amazing bit. I think his ability to, take on 4 indictments and still pursue his political ambitions, his bid for presidency, that I think sets him apart. So that is something which has actually endeared him to the Republican base as well. That despite all the challenges that he's facing, he has been able to fight on and not break down and get shattered. So that strength is being seen as strength. But that said, Mr. Trump doesn't also have too many fans. There are critics, especially in the way he's behaved in the recent past. And people have criticized him also for trying to divide the nation, to polarize the nation. But I think at the end of the day, former President Trump is also a human being. I think we should see him as a human being with all his conflicting emotions, with his own ambitions, aspirations, and fears. In the final analysis, how will President Trump be remembered? I think he will be remembered as a man who did definitely. There are some good policies that he brought in the United States. But I think his legacy may get tarred by the fact that he also divided the nation far more deeply than any other president before him, Pankaj.
Shri, many thanks. An absolute pleasure, I would say. Although the first time we interacted, but I'm sure, and I wish it's not the last time, there would be more conversations. One quick question, Shri. By this time around, and the viewers who have joined the broadcast just now, Shri is in Washington, D.C. Obviously, there is a time gap. Here we are in India, roughly around 8:30 here. Shri, next time, tomorrow, when Neha speaks to you, India is actually waiting with a bated breath to make history. Chandrayaan-3 by that time would have made history. Your thoughts, your comments. Fingers crossed.
Absolutely. I think this will be a huge moment for India, Pankaj, if we are able to land the craft safely. As we know, Russia attempted it and just crashed to the moon's surface. So if we are able to do this, I think there cannot be a bigger a sense of euphoria that we can experience as a nation. It'll be, a milestone achievement for us that only a handful of countries, very, very limited number of countries, which have managed to, land aircraft on the moon. So I think there'll be a huge milestone and a huge boost to our own self-confidence as a nation that is following, its aspirations in the outer space. So let's wish Chandrayaan all the best.
Right. Thank you, Shri. Thank you so much. Lovely speaking to you.